What's up guys, my name is Jimmy Champagne and today I'm here to talk to you about Mayhem. It's the new movie from Joe Lynch and it just premiered here in LA down at Beyond Fest. So if you've never heard of it before, the basic premise here is that there's a virus sweeping around the world that turns your eye red and turns off your emotional checks and balances. There is a cure for this virus, but there's no vaccine. So the only way to cure it is basically you quarantine and lock down the building where the people are infected, let them duke it out because their emotional checks and balances are off for 8 hours, and then once the cure is seeped into their systems, they're all cured and everything's fine. So what we have here is a ruthless law firm where every single person in the building gets infected and then they're stuck in there for 8 hours. So literally seconds after Derek turns down Melanie for a foreclosure, she wants reversed, obviously, because why would you want your house foreclosed? They all get infected, but they do team up and they gotta work their way to the top to, get what they want. So that's just the first 10 minutes of the movie, and even though it's a ton of info, I had no trouble following it because Stephen Yeun narrates the movie in first person and he does a really good job. The script is really good, the writing is really good, but he sells it and I think that's awesome. So it's clear from the very beginning that Mayhem is absolutely dripping with style, starting out with the soundtrack from Steve Moore. It's full of synth beats that reminded me a lot of Hotline Miami, and it kind of gives you that one more time feeling that you get when you're playing a video game, but each time they achieve a goal they're trying to get to and it turns out they have to go somewhere else, the beat pushes the story forward and you don't get bored or frustrated, which is awesome. So speaking of violence and chaos, which is kind of like the big draw of all of Joe Lynch's movies, this is again his best yet. The fight choreography here is absolutely insane. So Stephen Yeun has no trouble with it because he's been on The Walking Dead for 6 years almost, I think. And then Samara Weaving, who I thought might have a little bit of trouble, did a really good job. She is not a detriment to the fight scenes with him. They both help each other out and they make each other's fight scenes better, which I don't think is something that happens a lot in movies where it's two people fighting together. They just work well together. It's awesome. Also, I really like the weapon ingenuity here. There's a lot of different stuff on play, from brass knuckles to a table saw to a nail gun. You're gonna be seeing a lot of stuff other than throwing punches, and it all looks great. So going back to Derek and Melanie, they are pretty much the perfect pair. So Derek is kind of like the guy who started out all wide-eyed and excited at this company and kind of became a hardened asshole as he made his way up, but you can tell he's a good dude underneath it. And when the virus, affects him and causes him to lash out at people, it's pretty cool. And then Melanie is just hilarious. She has a ton of different joke moments and she's always driving the violence forward and she's always like ready to do the next objective and push the plot forward, which is exactly what this movie needs. And when you pair it with their amazing chemistry, there's nothing to complain about. So by now you're probably thinking of The Belko Experiment, which is the first movie I ever reviewed on this channel, and while they are very similar, I do think Mayhem is a better movie for one key thing, and that's its tone. The Belko Experiment's tone is very heavy and depressing and somber, even though there are funny moments throughout, and it's because these people are being forced to kill each other. There's no excuse other than the fact that if they don't kill each other, they'll die anyway, so they just kind of have to go along with it. So when you laugh, you're always feeling kind of sad in that movie, and I didn't really like that. But in this movie, there's the virus, and it's kind of the excuse for you not to feel guilty when they hurt each other, because they don't really have a choice, and this movie is going out of its way to be funny and have a lot of heart. Honestly, there are a couple moments in this movie where lines are delivered and I started to tear up, which is definitely not something you would think would happen in a Joe Lynch movie, but hey, it does. There's some really good heartfelt moments here that the Belko Experiment, I can tell, wants to have, but really never gets to, and that's why I think Mayhem is just a better movie all around. Mayhem is amazing because it's relatable. It's a thrill ride from start to finish, and we've all been in that corporate setting before where you hate your boss, you hate your clients, you want to punch them in the face, but you know you can't, and this movie gives you that outlet that you've always wanted. It's really easy to graft people from your real life onto the characters in this movie, and I think that's why it works so well for me. I honestly don't have anything bad to say about it. I thought about it for about 24 hours and there's just nothing coming to mind. I know not everyone is going to be as hot on it as I was because it just connected with me really well, but I don't really care. It's one of my favorite movies I've ever seen, and it's my favorite movie of the year. I'm not calling it the best movie of the year, but it is absolutely, no doubt, my favorite. So if and when you do check out Mayhem, you should let me know what you think down in the comments below, and you should also let me know on Instagram and Twitter at Jimmy Champagne. And also, I just wanted to let you guys know I started a new horror podcast with my best friend. We'll keep it under an hour every week. It's called Fear Frequency, and all we do is talk about a big news segment. We review a movie or a game or a comic or whatever, and then we have a wild card segment which changes every week. If you want to check it out, the link's in the description, but you can find it on iTunes at Fear Frequency and pretty much any other podcast service service out there. So yeah, guys, that's my review of Mayhem. Obviously, I really liked it, and I appreciate you watching. As always, I'm Jimmy Champagne, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.